From Palm Springs Stadium, it's time for the PSCL playoffs. It's a best-of-one series between the number 1 seeded Lumberjacks and the number 8 seed Coyotes. I'm Vince Hesbrook. Thanks for being with us. And this is the most exciting time of the year here in Palm Springs. Of course, the Lumberjacks at 17-1, obviously the favorite over the 5-13 Coyotes. But when it comes to a best-of-one winner-take-all game in the playoffs, anything can happen. Of course, that puts a lot of pressure on the starting pitchers for these teams. And for the Lumberjacks, the good news for them is that they have been the best pitching team across the entire league by a fairly wide margin. They've got their ace on the hill. Zachary Bernston is up for the Lumberjacks with a 1.12 ERA across 24 innings. His defense behind him, it'll be Giovanni Pena at third, Aaron Raposa at short, Tyler Barnesness at second, and Logan Warden at first. The outfield is Troy Johnson, Jose Rodriguez, and Frank Estrada at 7, 8, and 9. And finally, the all-star who leads the league in OPS, Dylan Garcia. He's going to be behind the dish for the Lumberjacks today. Well, the Coyotes are going to try and pull off an upset, and they've might have the talent on offense to do it. Roberto Gallardo, the shortstop, leading things off. Tyler Langbein, the DH, next. Alexander Carbajal, the first baseman, hitting third. Caden Raymond in cleanup. Paul Saffer in center. He's hitting fifth. Declan Rivero, the third baseman, hitting sixth. Riley Thomas, the second baseman, hitting seventh. Landon Baker in right, hitting eighth. And Logan Wanko in left is hitting ninth. Interesting to see the strategy here already, because in the regular season, we saw most managers use the 10-man lineup. Of course, your job is to try and get these kids as many opportunities as possible, but in the PSCL playoffs, we're down to 9, and that forces these managers to be extra frugal and extra cutthroat when it comes to their decision-making. The Lumberjacks, 183 runs scored. That is 5 behind the high-powered Bombers for most in the league, but where they do their most damage is with the pitching staff. 64 total runs allowed. Not only is that first or the only team below 110. A lot of dominance and depth from Sam DiMattio's squad. But when it comes to one game of baseball, anything can happen. For the Coyotes, it's Roberto Gallardo leading things off. And from Palm Springs Stadium in the Coachella Valley, we are officially underway. First pitch gets the outside for a called strike. Gallardo, a clean .333 hitter, gets aboard at a .440 clip. Second pitch, swing and a foul quickly behind 0-2. And for all their frustrations, this Coyotes team has done a great job of getting on base. A .435 on base percentage. Issue with them has been power. .388 slugging last in the PSCL. 0-2 pitch. Straight down the middle for a called strike. So Zach Bernstein gets his first of the day. Gallardo goes down on 3 pitches. It's Tyler Langbein now batting for the Coyotes. First pitch to Langbein, fouled back. Well, we talked about how this Coyotes team has been struggling for some power, but Tyler Langbein, he has been the antidote at times this season. .559 slugging to go along with a .523 on base percentage. And again, another Coyotes batter down 0-2. We'll see if Bernstein goes to the zone again. Bouncer to short. Raposa to first for out number 2. And that's been the other secret ingredient to this Lumberjacks recipe. Their defense is absolutely the best across the league. So when you combine the best pitching with the best defense, is a cutthroat squad that is the number 1 overall seed and the number 1 best record. Alexander Carbajal due up next. .522 on base percentage. Another guy with some pop. .636 slug. First pitch inside. And for a lot of these managers, they spend the season trying to figure out who their best bats are, where to put guys in the lineup. Obviously, they have some inkling of the talent when they first arrive, but nothing is certain until you see him play. 1-0 pitch, up high, 84 from Zach Bernstein. But now when you're in the playoffs, sometimes some of those season averages might be down, but that's just because you're trying to figure out who those best players are. Nobody on this team has played all 18 games with the exception of Paul Saffer, the center fielder. There's a strike. 2-1. But if you can have just enough depth, just enough talent to do some damage with your lineup, it's absolutely possible for the Coyotes to pull off an upset. But with Zach Bernstein dealing like he is, it's going to be tricky. Here's the 2-2. Got him! Wave and a miss for Alex Carbajal. And it's 2 strikeouts for Zach Bernstein. It's the bottom of the first here in Palm Springs Stadium. The Coyotes went down 1-2-3 on offense as they try and upset the number 1 seed Lumberjacks in the first round of the PSCL playoffs. And now we get to see the Lumberjacks take their first at-bats. And we talked about the pressure that the ace for the Lumberjacks, Zach Bernstein, was under. But how about Javier Avalos on the hill for the Coyotes? Avalos comes in an 8.68 ERA, but only 18 2/3 innings. So a small sample size for a lot of these pitchers, and Avalos has had some really strong performances. Here's the first pitch to Aaron Raposa on the ground to second. Riley Thomas, the second baseman, gets the first out. And that's a big one to get. Aaron Raposa, one of the all-stars for this Lumberjacks team. A dominant bat at the top of the order. Now, you could argue that was such a tough order for the Lumberjacks that Javier Avalos is under more pressure than Zach Bernstein. But on the other side, you could say that the Coyotes, as the 8th seed, I mean, they've got nothing to lose and everything to gain here. The first pitch to Tyler Barnes called for a strike. Hitting third, Dylan Garcia, the catcher. Fourth, Logan Warden, the first baseman. Hitting fifth, Jose Rodriguez, the center fielder. Carlos Guzman hitting sixth, the designated hitter. 0-1 pitch. Low, 73 with the slider. Hitting seventh, Frank Estrada, the right fielder. Eighth, Troy Johnson in left. And batting ninth is Giovanni Pena, the third baseman. And you want to talk about depth for a squad. Troy Johnson was an all-star, and he's hitting eighth in the lineup. 1-1 pitch, bunt pulled back for Tyler Barnes. And it's 1-2. Avalos last time out, 2 clean inning against the number 2 Bombers. Did not allow a single base runner, had 3 strikeouts. Oh, that's a swing and a miss. Can they get the throw to first in time? No, it's dropped. Tyler Barnes reaches on a strikeout, and it was definitely a pitch up high. It's tough to judge. Maybe a wild pitch there. Either way, Barnes reaches with 1 out. in this Lumberjacks team. They are the best in the league when it comes to taking advantage of opposing teams' mistakes. First pitch up and into Dylan Garcia. Garcia has a serious case at being the most valuable bat across the entire league. Hitting .513 on the season, .592 on base percentage. Second pitch, 2-0. He's got a lot of speed for anybody, but especially for a catcher. 20 base hits, 3 triples. Called strike. 11 RBIs. That's second on the team behind Troy Johnson. And also a terrific defensive catcher as well. He's ahead 2-1 on Javier Avalos. Bouncer to third, gloved on the backhand across the diamond. No, it's up high and it sails into the dugout. Runner coming home for the Jacks. And we're going to see if they keep this. He might have to go back to third. If that ball went out of play, it's going to only be 2 bases. They're pointing him to head to third, and sure enough, Tyler Barnesness back to third base. But still, runners now at second and third. Probably should go down as a hit and an E5 for Dylan Garcia. That speed, it seemed like he was going to leg it out. And now it's Logan Warden. With runners at second and third, 1 out. Avalos in there for a strike with the slider. Second pitch, down low, 1-1. Warden, a .378 hitter. This team overall hits .348. .453 on base percentage. They are punishing. 1-1. Nice pitch, gets the outside. 1-2. Such an early inflection point. We've seen these Lumberjacks teams just pour it on as soon as they get some momentum. They did that against the Haymakers last time out. Wave and a miss, 1-2. The Lumberjacks did not have a hit through 4 innings against the Haymakers in the last game of the regular season. Oh, and that's strike 3, my mistake. So Warden goes down, a key second out. And now it's Jose Rodriguez. First pitch fouled, 0-1. But in the last game of the season, Lumberjacks won the first 4 innings without a hit. Pitching change for the Haymakers, and then all of a sudden, 12 straight reach consecutively. Rodriguez behind 0-2. Tyler Barnesness at third. Reached on a strikeout wild pitch. Dylan Garcia, a single to third, and E5 got him to second. But a Logan Warden strikeout has Javier Avalos 1 pitch away from getting out of the inning. Here's the 0-2 to Rodriguez. Popped in the air, over to third. Carbajal will watch it bounce in front of him. Probably a wise call. On one hand, he's one of the more valuable bats for this Coyotes squad. On the other hand, I mean, these players, they've got college careers ahead of them. And although it's frustrating to see somebody not want to risk an injury, you got to recognize how important the health is for these players. Best ability is availability. There we go. Jose Rodriguez still down 0-2. And fouled again. Avalos has a slider with a lot of zip. We've seen it reach the mid-70s. A lot of movement on it. The fastball there up high at 81. We'll see if he goes in the zone. 0-2 again. Fourth pitch of the at-bat. Down low with the slider. Rodriguez, a .400 hitter. 40 at-bats, 16 base hits. 1-2 into right field. Baker on the move. It will drop. Just foul. Fun battle here with 2 outs, runners at second and third. Jose Rodriguez against Javier Avalos. Rodriguez down 1-2. Both guys have had things go their way to keep the at-bat going. Another 1-2. Looped into left field, dropping fast. But it is Declan Rivero, the new addition to this Coyotes team, who gets the third out calmly at third, and the inning will end. So second and third, 1 out. But Javier Avalos for the Coyotes retires 2 straight Lumberjacks, and we are still scoreless as we get set for the top of 2. Come back. And welcome back to the PSCL playoffs. Scoreless game, top of 2 between the 1-seeded Lumberjacks and the 8-seeded Coyotes. I'm Vince Hesbrick. This is one of 2 games going on. The number 2 seed Bombers are playing the 7-seed Blue Sox. And it seems like we've had a crazy one so far. 2-1 Blue Sox in the top of 3. Jimmy J.J. Johnson's squad trying to pull off what would be a major upset. They beat the Bombers in the last game of the regular season by a score of 14-12. With a lot of backups playing for both sides. This one's the real deal. Caden Raymond leading things off for the Coyotes. Raymond, first pitch on the outside. Zach Bernstein's still out there for the Lumberjacks. But here's the craziest part of that game. The starting pitcher for the Bombers has been ejected in the first inning. 1-0 pitch, wave and a miss. 84 at the bottom of the zone, blew it by Raymond. Now that's obviously a big loss for the Bombers. They have a pitching plan coming in, playing on the turf field. Things get a little chaotic over there. 1-2, nice slider on the inside. So the Bombers now faced with some early decisions. And I'm obviously sure that the Lumberjacks are going to be keeping an eye on that one, with the Bombers being considered their biggest competitor for the title of the crown. 2-2 the count to Caden Raymond. Raymond, a .259 hitter. Just gets a bat on that nifty slider. Raymond has 7 hits on the season, but 13 walks, leads the team. Also 6 hit by pitches leads the team. A .565 untraditional on-base percentage. Bouncer over to third, and it gets through. Tough bounce for Giovanni Pena to handle at third. And that will go down as an error on the Lumberjacks. Well, not all errors are equal, but a ground ball 81 off the bat to third. Obviously tricky to handle with that hop. Pena kind of caught in no man's land, but Raymond gets aboard Paul Saffer, the most reliable Coyote on the team, up with a man on, nobody out. Here's the first pitch from Bernstein. Swing and a miss. Saffer is the only Coyote who has played in all 18 games. Hitting .270, .372 on base percentage, .405 slug. 0-1 pitch. Inside, gets the call for a strike. And we'll see if Raymond wants to get aggressive on the base pass. He has 4 stolen bases, but has been caught stealing twice. Saffer in an 0-2 hole. Throwback to first, and he's safe. I'll tell you what, a pitch like that, I wonder if that was a pitch out. Don't see those too often, but you see some fun small ball strategy in this league, and that was an immediate throwback to first. I think they were trying to get Raymond. 1-2, called, strike 3. Backdoor slider from Zach Bernstein nets him his third strikeout of the day. And isn't this a fun matchup? Declan Rivero for the Coyotes playing third base. If you've been a fan of the Coyotes all year long, you're probably a little confused on who that is, but we have a fun rule in this league. First pitch to Rivero, swing and a miss. So the Bootleggers are the 9 seed in the PSCL, and it's an 8-team playoff, so the Bootleggers miss out as a team. But they give the other teams that made the playoffs an opportunity to draft players from the Bootleggers squad. The 0-1, skied in the air out to center field. Jose Rodriguez has a beat on it, 2 down. Riley Thomas now batting for the Coyotes, but Rivero has been a very reliable bat, terrific defender for the Bootleggers, and the way that the teams picked the players from the 9-seed Bootleggers who missed the playoffs is that the team that got into the playoffs last has the chance to pick first. So the Coyotes basically could take their pick of what bootlegger they wanted. They picked Declan Rivero, which is definitely a wise decision. 2 outs, runner on first. First pitch to Riley Thomas. Wave and a miss with the slider. It almost feels like that slider is the primary pitch for Zach Bernstein, but when you see the zip on it, you can't blame him for going to it so often. 0-1 to second. Oh, a tough hop, and it gets into center field. 2 base runners for the Coyotes. Both have reached on errors. Tyler Barnesness, usually sure-gloved. Another situation where that ground ball just catches an infielder in a position that they're not comfortable in. Tough hop. It looked like for just a split second that Barnesness adjusted himself to make the athletic play, but instead it got by him, and that's an error on the Lumberjacks. Landon Baker with runners at first and second. Gets a generous call, 1-0. Baker hitting .300 on the year. Ball bounces away from Garcia, but he keeps it close. Managing those base runners, so important in the PSCL, and that's another reason why Dylan Garcia might be the most valuable player in the league. Best bat in the league on offense, and that catching spot. No more underrated position across the entirety of sports. We'll see if Baker swings big. 2-0. Here's the pitch from Bernstein. Inside, almost hit him. Or it did hit him with 83 with the fastball. They are loaded up for the 9-hitter, Logan Wanko. Still no hits for the Coyotes. This inning has gone E3, strikeout, flyout, but then an E4 hit by pitch. And they are loaded up. Garcia will head over to talk to his pitcher. Bernstein, a 1.12 ERA for the season. These runs would be unearned if they score. But that's only 5 runs overall that he's allowed, 3 of them earned. 1.12 ERA across 24 innings, 3-0 on the season. Appearing in his 6th game. The Coyotes want an upset. They got to cash in on this moment. The first pitch to Wanko, down low, wave and a miss. And when these pitchers are in their pressure spots, that's when you find out what pitches they prefer most. And the slider has been the go-to. Oh, wow. A lot of the plate there on that slider up high, but it's 1-1. Wanko, the 9-hitter, hitting .240 with a .406 on base percentage. 1-1 on the ground to second. Nice adjustment from Barnesness. And the Coyotes leave them stranded. Some nice clutch pitching from Zach Bernstein. His defense gave up 2 errors and a hit by pitch. That gave the Coyotes an opportunity, but Bernstein coaxes the weak ground ball. And we stay scoreless as we head to the bottom of this. Javier Avalos still on the hill for the 8-seed Coyotes. Scoreless game. Avalos pitching his 2nd inning against the number 1 seed Lumberjacks in this winner-take-all playoff game. Best of 1, such a chaotic format, but that's why we love it so much. A lot of randomness in a winner-take-all game. In baseball, the most random sport of them all. And that's got to energize this Coyotes team. First pitch to Carlos Guzman. Oh, inside it got him bad, and it bounced all the way into the netting after hitting his shoulder. 80 miles an hour from Avalos. Guzman gets aboard as the leadoff hitter. But obviously the more important question is Guzman okay? Carlos Guzman, a .400 hitter for this squad, walking very gingerly over to first. Well, he's going to stay in there for now. They're going to give him a moment. No trainers in sight. And we've got some great trainers in the league, so if Guzman is head to first under his own power, that probably means that he feels good in the meantime. But the good news for the Lumberjacks is that they now have their leadoff man aboard. Frank Estrada takes the first pitch for a strike. Inside slider. Second pitch. Again inside. 1-1. Shot into right field, foul. Frank Estrada, .357 average. We'd call that elite, but for the Lumberjacks team, it's barely above average. Wave and a miss. Down goes Estrada. Key strikeout from Avalos. 1 down in the inning. And here's Troy Johnson, the best RBI man in the league by a wide margin. First pitch high. Like we said, this Lumberjacks team is second in the league in runs scored, just 5 behind the Bombers, but still, they've scored around 170 runs. And most of these teams aren't above 130, so 2 clear separators between the 1 and 2 seeds in this league. But Troy Johnson has been the reason why the Lumberjacks have had that kind of success. Second place in RBIs for the team. 3 are tied with 11. Runner on the move to second, and a great jump means that Guzman is in safe. But like I was saying, 3 guys for the Lumberjacks have 11 RBIs. Troy Johnson is first with, you want to guess? 21 RBIs on the year. 2-1 pitch. Runner in scores position. Swing and a foul. 2-2. And Johnson in the 8th spot. With the way that his team gets aboard, a lot of chances with men on. And, of course, he's been all over the lineup like most of these guys. Here's the 2-2 from Avalos. Look over at second. This Lumberjacks team, 59 stolen bases on the season, 12 caught stealing. Shot into right field and down for a base hit. Johnson's aboard. Guzman on his way home, and the Lumberjacks have taken the lead. RBI single for Troy Johnson. Doing what he does. Man on first, 1 out. And this is the most important sequence of the game for Javier Avalos on the hill for the Coyotes. 1-run deficit, definitely manageable, especially with the top of the order coming up for the Coyotes. But he's got to do his best to keep it at 1 and prevent this Lumberjacks team from running away with it. First pitch to Giovanni Pena outside for a ball. And on the other side of things, with just 1 out, barring a double play, Aaron Raposa, the leadoff hitter for the Lumberjacks, is going to see a second at-bat against Avalos in this inning. 1-0. 1-1. Up high, 2-1. Giovanni Pena charged with an error last inning. Gets a bat on it. Slow roller to third. Only play is at first, and they make the play. It was a diving effort from the third baseman, Declan Rivero. And it's probably good for the Coyotes that he missed it because Roberto Gallardo, the shortstop, had a much easier look at that throw to first. Pena goes down, 2 outs. Runner at second. Johnson advances on the ground out. And here's Aaron Raposa for the Lumberjacks. Raposa hitting .385 on the year. Slug .615. First pitch, swing and a foul. .203 total hits for the Lumberjacks. Less than 50 for extra bases. But Raposa, he's got 4 doubles, a triple, and a homer. Timeout called by Raposa. Wondering if we'll see some kind of gamesmanship here. You can take as many timeouts as you want. In the PSCL, there's no pitch clock. You can throw over as many times. So when it comes to playoffs, I'm wondering if sportsmanship be darned if we're going to see some guys really futz with the tempo. Second pitch low with the slider, 1-1. It might not always be aesthetically pleasing, but as fans, we say we want our guys to do whatever it takes to win. Raposa swing and a miss, 1-2. Our definition of a winning player is someone who sacrifices. So if a guy is willing to sacrifice his dignity by throwing over 6 times, like we've seen in the league, I mean, more power to you. 1-2 pitch to Raposa. Runner on the move. Throw down to third. Safe. Wow, so a gutsy decision by Troy Johnson, stealing third with 2 outs. Obviously not a traditional baseball maneuver. Customary to not make the third out at third. But with so many infield hits, not a bad option. 2-2, 3-2 now. And the other side of things is that a lot of these pitchers, they've got some serious sauce, but they have a tough time landing, and that can lead to some wild pitches. 3-2. We'll do it again. Javier Avalos has allowed 1 run in the inning. 3-2, outside ball 4. A fun battle between Javier Avalos and Aaron Raposa, but the leadoff man for the Lumberjacks wins it, and there are runners at the corners for Tyler Barnesness. The Lumberjacks got 1 run already. Carlos Guzman was hit as the leadoff hitter for this Lumberjacks team. In the inning, Barnesness fouled. After Frank Estrada struck out, Troy Johnson got a base hit. And with Guzman already stealing second, he got all the way around from first and scored. Barnesness struck out back in the first. Avalos would love to do it again and keep this game manageable as his 8-seed Coyotes try and pull off the upset. 1-0, and Raposa walks into second. Bit of a bobble there from Caden Raymond, the catcher, but that's not always a bad thing. What we've seen the Lumberjacks and a lot of other teams do is that you got runners at the corners, guy steals second. As soon as that throw heads over, the runner from third is coming home, and more often than not, they score. 1-1 to second. On the hop, knocked down. Can they get it to first? No! Riley Thomas knocked it down, couldn't scoop it up off the dirt. And Troy Johnson comes to score. It's a 2-0 game. Second error of the day on the Coyotes. And another throw down to second. Runner at third stays put. But a successful stolen base from Tyler Barnesness after reaching safely only seconds ago. 1-0 to Dylan Garcia. 1 for 1 on the day. Advanced to second on an E5 that got away. 1-0 pitch. Called strike. Last time out against the Haymakers, the Lumberjacks team did not have a hit through 4. Pitching change 12 straight reach. When it rains, it pours. 1-1. Just off the plate, 2-1. Two now. That second run charged to Avalos will be unearned. 2-2 pitch. Didn't go. 3-2. Logan Warden is on deck for the Lumberjacks. Dylan Garcia, maybe the best all-round player in the league, has a chance with 2 men on. Lumberjacks lead 2-0 in the bottom of 2. 8-seed Coyotes need to get out of this inning cleanly if they want to stay in this game. Here's the payoff pitch. Bouncer to second. Throw across. Got him! What a highlight from Riley Thomas. He commits the error last time. A run scores. But, man, did he do his best to try and make up for it after allowing that run to come in. An incredible highlight. Goes down as a G4. Complete robbery for Dylan Garcia. Zach Bernstein pitching a third inning for the number 1 seed Lumberjacks. First inning went 1-2-3. In the second, though, things got a little hairy. The Coyotes, thanks to 2 errors on Lumberjacks infielders, got the bases loaded with 2 outs, but the 9-hitter Logan Wanko grounded out to second, and that meant a second clean inning for Bernstein. On the other side of things, the Lumberjacks scored 2. Carlos Guzman got hit by a pitch. He came around to score when Troy Johnson drove him in. But Johnson scored on an E4 with 2 outs. So it's 2-0, and the consolation prize for the Coyotes is that Roberto Gallardo, their leadoff hitter, is leading off the inning. Gallardo hitting .333, .440 on base percentage. Struck out looking last time up. This Coyotes team may be the 8 seed, last team into the playoffs, but this top of the order has some serious on-base ability. They got to try and display it against one of the best in the league. Inside, Gallardo has to lean back. Zach Bernstein, 1.13 ERA on the year. Here's the 1-0. 2-0. And what makes the playoffs so interesting is that for the team that makes the championship, you're playing 3 straight playoff games in a row. 2-0 up the middle, and that's a base hit. Roberto Gallardo gets the first hit of the day for the Coyotes. Well, we saw the punch from the Lumberjacks. Now the Coyotes trying to mount a counterpunch down 2 runs. But as I was saying, first rounds today, second rounds tomorrow, and the championship game is 2 days from now. So that means that there's going to be a lot of interesting pitching decisions. First pitch to Tyler Langbein. Called strike. Because Bernstein's the kind of guy that you want on the mound for a championship caliber game. But of course, you don't want to use him too much here in game 1, or are you accepting that he won't be available? 0-1 fouled. And you could argue, you wonder if you hold him for a potential championship game and don't pitch him today. But then you're banking on your team winning 2 straight playoff games without their ace. Oh, 2 to Langbein. Off the plate with the fastball, 1-2. I guess the good news for the Lumberjacks is if they have to go to somebody else in this game or any other, don't want to be looking ahead too much, obviously. 1-2. Ooh, close, but 2-2, count even. But the Lumberjacks, obviously they've got the top-line talent on the mound, but a lot of depth as well. 3.55 ERA. They're the only team with an ERA less than 6.5. Here's the 2-2. Runner on the move, looped into right field and down for a base hit. Gallardo on his way to third. Runners at the corners, nobody out for the Coyotes. And you can hear the Coyotes bench yelling, hit and run right there. Would have been a tough play to make either way, as that was looping over the head of the second baseman, Tyler Barnes, but with him covering second, that meant that there was no opportunity whatsoever. First pitch to Carbajal. Runner on the move, no throw. And here come the Coyotes. Successful stolen base for Tyler Langbein. Got a great jump, and Garcia, maybe recognizing that the speedy Gallardo's at third, decided to pump fake the throw. Alexander Carbajal struck out in the first. Here's the 1-0. Fouled. The Coyotes trying to add what would only be the 4th earned run of the season on Zach Bernstein's ledger. Carbajal hitting .333. The 1-1. Slow roller to second. On to first for out number 1, but a run will score. RBI ground out for Alexander Carbajal. It's a 2-1 game, and Tyler Langbein, who stole second, advances to third. Up comes Caden Raymond, the catcher. Reached safely last time up, but reached on an E5. Raymond, .259 hitter, .565 on base percentage, leads this team. First pitch fouled. This Coyotes team had a decent start to the year, but where things kind of hit the fan was when Cooper Sitton got injured in game game 7, pardon me, swing and a miss down 0-2. Obviously, 7 games, small sample size, but Sitton was hitting .640 for the year at that moment. And then the Coyotes went into a bit of a tailspin to close out the year, trying to recapture some magic. 0-2 pitch. Low and away. A lot of small ball in this game so far. We've seen pitch outs, stolen bases, hit and run. Raymond trying to add on by putting the ball in play. 1-2 pitch is low. Two. Got him. Caden Raymond goes down swinging. A crucial second out for Zach Bernstein and the Lumberjacks. Paul Saffer coming up now for the Coyotes. He's going to need a base hit if he wants to bring in Tyler Langbein at third. First pitch on the ground, foul. Ooh, shot into the dugout. Those seats very close to the action. The optimist would say it's a good piece of motivation for guys to keep an eye on the game. The pessimist would say, look out. 0-1 to Saffer on the ground, fouled again. I mean, we're here to watch baseball, but throughout this season, there's been a lot of dodgeball being played as well. Saffer struck out looking in the second. Tyler Langbein at third. 1 run has already scored for the Coyotes in the inning. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. So the Coyotes get one across, but they leave one stranded at third. The Lumberjacks keep the lead. They're off. Javier Avalos back on the hill for the Coyotes. His 8-seed squad is down 2-1 to the number 1 seed Lumberjacks. The Lumberjacks scored 2 in the bottom of 2. Only one of them earned as one scored on an error. And the Coyotes responded with 1 in the top of 3, but now the Lumberjacks hard to the order coming up with a lead. Avalos has pitched admirably so far in this game, but now the Lumberjacks guys are seeing their second at-bat against the righty. Logan Warden takes ball 1. We've got 4 games today. It's the first day of the PSCL playoffs. Blue Sox Bombers going out the turf field, wave and a miss, 1-1. The last update we got was it's 2-1 Blue Sox in the top of the third. Interested to see what it is now. The Bombers, the number 2 seed, the Blue Sox, hoping to pull off an upset. 1-1 over to second. The diving grab comes up empty. Riley Thomas shot up in the air, caught off the top of his glove and bounced into right field. It's a base hit for the Lumberjacks. Logan Warden now 1 for 2 on the day. Jose Rodriguez, the center fielder, now due. Two more games later in the day for you. 6-seed Grizzly against the 3-seed North Stars. That's a good one happening on the turf field. First pitch high. But then maybe the marquee event. Number 5 seed Haymakers, number 4 seed Chill at Palm Springs Stadium starts at 11:30. And the playoffs do not reseed. 1-0 pitch, skied in the air out to right field. Landon Baker gets out number 1. Now, no reseeding matters a lot for the teams that are in the 3-seed through 6-seed spot. Because obviously the North Stars, Grizzly, Chill, and Haymakers prepping to play one of the top 2 teams in the league. But now, hypothetically, if the Grizzly were to beat the North Stars and the Blue Sox were to upset the Bombers, we could see a 6-seed versus 7-seed matchup in the second round. First pitch to Carlos Guzman in there for a strike. Guzman got hit by a pitch last inning. Gingerly walked over to first. Oh, and a stolen base for the Lumberjacks. Logan Warden caught the defense napping. Called a delayed steal, maybe a jump that was so early and Avalos just didn't recognize it. It was a long pause from the hurler for the Coyotes. But either way, Logan Warden is at second with 1 out. 0-1 pitch to Carlos Guzman, wave and a miss. Oh, 2 to Guzman. 1-2. Avalos went up high with the fastball. 80 miles an hour. Now the 1-2. On the ground, through for a base hit. Warden will stay at third. Runners at the corners, 1 out for Frank Estrada. And will we see more chaos on the base pass for the Lumberjacks? We saw a stolen base last inning. But the question is, as soon as Caden Raymond throws down to second, will Logan Warden be chugging home from third? First pitch, wave and a miss to Estrada. One of the best sliders of the day from Avalos. Estrada struck out last time up. Warden at third, Guzman at first. Look over at first, and it bounces away. Warden will score. Guzman to second. And it is a 3-1 game. And that's an E1 on Avalos. He just hopped it. No chance for Carbajal at first. And now the situation changes for Frank Estrada. Runner at second, 1 out. 0-1 pitch. On the ground to short. And it gets off the glove of Gallardo. Another Coyotes error. Frank Estrada reaches. Runners at the corner, 1 out. We're back to the same situation we had a minute ago. Now it's Troy Johnson batting. Error number 4 on the day for the Coyotes. First pitch to Johnson. Straight down the middle for a strike. I guess the run technically unearned. Bizarre scoring rule that the error is on the pitcher. Still doesn't count as an earned run. On the ground to second. To second, there's one. To first, it's a double play. Javier Avalos leaves two stranded. The Lumberjacks can't add on, but they get one run across. They respond to the Coyotes' run. It's a 3. It's Declan Rivero, the draftee from the Bootleggers, leading things off for the Coyotes. They're down 2 runs against the number 1 seed Lumberjacks in a winner-take-all playoff game. And we can give you an update on the game going on at the other field. Here's the first pitch from Bernstein. On the ground, foul. So the Blue Sox, managed by Jimmy Johnson, are the 7 seed trying to pull off an upset against the Bombers. The last update we got, 3-1 game, top of third, or 2-1 game, pardon me. But now the Blue Sox have scored 4 more runs. It is 6-1 in the top of 5. Second pitch low, 1-1. And seemed like everybody expected a Lumberjacks-Bombers championship. Still absolutely could happen. The Bombers have had a knack for comebacks. Fouled away. But we're just seeing already through 2 games in the playoffs that you just cannot take any of these games for granted. The Lumberjacks, the number 1 seed, they definitely lead the Coyotes right now by a score of 3-1. But the Coyotes have also had chances with the bases loaded, men in scoring position. They put some pressure on the team to beat, 2-2. Declan Rivero was the first overall pick from the unofficial draft of the Bootleggers squad. He's hitting .290 on the year, .450 on base percentage. 2-2. On the ground to third. Hit hard. It's off the glove of Pena. And an E5 on the Lumberjacks. Leadoff runner aboard. The Coyotes had runners at second and third with nobody out last inning. Alexander Carbajal scored 1. It was Roberto Gallardo on a ground out. Tyler Langbein was at first with 1 out. But a pair of strikeouts from Zach Bernstein ended the inning and minimized the damage, despite the fact that he was officially charged his 4th earned run of the season. But now his defense, usually sure-gloved, has committed a litany of errors, 3 already. On the ground to short, we'll see if they can turn a double play. To second, 1 to first, and the hop gets away. It'll stay in the ballpark, so no error charged. Riley Thomas now at first. But the Lumberjacks dodged a bullet. There's almost a kind of structure where the trainers hang out. I'm not sure if you can see it on the side of your screen, kind of a square structure. But a lot of times if the shortstop throws to first and it gets away, they're relying on it hitting that little cardboard box. On the first pitch, runner down to second. The throw is high, and the tag is not in time. So Riley Thomas swipes second, runner in scores position, 1 out for the Coyotes. And Stephen Buxton telling me that's a camera well. Jeez. Well, you say technically, Stephen, but it's definitely a camera well. Not currently in use as a camera well. Okay, well, thanks for making me feel less bad. Yeah, you're a good teammate. First pitch to Landon Baker. Swing and a foul. On the ground to short. Nice play by Raposa for the second out. Riley Thomas advances to third. And now a chance at redemption for Logan Wanko. Last time Wanko was up, he came up with the bases loaded and 2 outs, grounded to second. And here he is with a man at third, a chance to make this a 1-run game against one of the league's best. Slider low, ball 1. Wanko hitting ninth, but gets aboard at a 4:06 clip. Getting aboard has not been the problem for the Coyotes. It's getting them in. Ooh, first pitch way high. Or second pitch, pardon me, it's 2-0. That's what adds to Dylan Garcia's value as a catcher. If you can stop those wild pitches from getting to the backstop, that's going to save you a lot of runs over the course of the season. Here's the 2-0. 3-0. Well, if there has ever been a green light situation, it's now. Although Roberto Gallardo, the leadoff hitter, is on deck. Expect this one to be in the zone for Wanko. Here's the 3-0. Called strike. Ooh. It was beneath the zone, but still a hitter's count for Logan Wanko. And now maybe we'll see a big swing. Riley Thomas is at third. 2 outs, and it's a 5-pitch walk. Wanko stays patient. Obviously wanted the RBI, but part of being the 9-hitter is doing your job and passing the baton to the big bats coming up at the top of the order. And mission accomplished for Wanko. Roberto Gallardo, 1 for 2 on the day, scored a run in the third. He's got the lone run for the Coyotes. They're down 1-3. Here's the first pitch to Gallardo. Low for ball 1. And with Wanko's speed, anything off the wall, and this could be a tie game. But maybe the bigger question is, will Wanko take off for second? 1-0 pitch. On the ground to second base. Barnesness ends the inning. Coyotes again threaten to do some damage. They got 1 run last inning, 0 runs this inning, 3-1 stays the score. Javier Avalos back on the hill for the Coyotes for his 4th inning of work. He's done a good job so far, but the Lumberjacks have scored 3 runs on him. Only 1 of them earned. And if you're just joining us, maybe the biggest story in this game is the story about the other game. The number 7 seed Blue Sox lead the 2 seed Bombers 6-1. The Bombers had an 11-game win streak going into their last regular season game of the year. They were taking on that very same Blue Sox team, and the Blue Sox scored 12 runs in the 1st inning. And somehow, it was a close game. 14-12 was the final, one of the crazier games of the year. Giovanni Pena, the 3rd baseman, leading things off for the Lumberjacks. First pitch from Avalos gets the bottom of the zone for a strike. And there's really no sugarcoating it. If there is a rivalry in the PSCL, it is Blue Sox Bombers. Those 2 teams, frankly, do not like each other. Swing and a miss 0-2. Although the Bombers have been known to be that team that drives other teams crazy. They got a dugout that likes to talk to the other team, and you can fill in the gaps. 0-2, looped into center field, falling fast, but a nice adjustment from Roberto Gallardo gets the first out. So I'm sure the Blue Sox would love it if they could upset the team that has given them and the rest of the league so much trouble. Aaron Raposa, the leadoff man, seeing his 3rd at-bat of the day, 0-for-1 with a walk. But there is a rule in the PSCL playoffs that would make a potential upset. It would add some comedy to it. First pitch to Raposa inside. Because if you defeat a team in the PSCL playoffs, you get to take a pitcher from the team that you beat. 1-0, 2-0. And so the Bombers have some really great pitchers available, but the funny thing is that all those pitchers probably would hate to play for the Blue Sox because of how strong the rivalry is. 2-0 pitch. 3-0 now to Raposa. So wouldn't that be the ultimate revenge? You're battling with a guy, and the next game he's wearing your uniform. Well, got to finish off the win to make it happen. 6-1 top of 5s. The last update will give you more as we see him. But in the meantime, we'll see if Raposa wants to swing 3-0. Takes a strike down the middle. Five-pitch walk to Aaron Raposa. Now, throwing a wrench into some of these PSCL games that we mentioned that it's 3 games and 3 days for most of these players. But for some of them, it's 4 games and 4 days because the PSCL All-Stars played the Power last night as part of a fun 4th of July game. Check on Raposa at first. He's safe. 1 out, nobody on. Lumberjacks lead 3-1. But the kicker is that the Bombers had multiple of their pitchers pitch in the All-Star game. Pitch inside. 1-0 to Barnesness. So maybe the Bombers a little taxed in the pen for the playoffs. 1-0, swing and a miss. Tyler Barnesness struck out in the first, reached at an E4 in the second. Raposa stays put. 1-1 pitch. Low 2-1. Barnesness, one of the All-Stars for the Lumberjacks. A .366 hitter. Here's the 2-1 from Avalos. After a long pause. When he went with a quick pitch, 3-1. And we can give you another update on the Blue Sox Bombers game. Raiden Sasaki for the Blue Sox just hit a grand slam to cap off a 5-run inning. It is 11-1. 3-1 now. And it's another walk. Tyler Barnesness reaches safely. Runners at first and second. One out for Dylan Garcia. Meeting on the mound coming up, another key sequence. Something we talk about quite a bit throughout the PSCL season is you're fitting a lot of games into a small window. It's less than a month, and you're playing 18 regular season games, and sometimes that leads to some stats for some hitters. We saw some crazy numbers at the start of the season. Still see some crazy numbers now, a lot of impressive guys, but things kind of start to take form after a certain point. But for pitchers, that sample size remains very small. Limited number of opportunities for everybody. That just adds extra pressure to each one. And for Javier Avalos, this is the most important inning of the season for him. Again, trying to keep this Lumberjacks team in check. But they're still going to need some production from their offense to cut into the deficit. Coyotes have 1. Bombers 3, bottom of 4. 2 men on, 1 out. Here's the pitch to Garcia. Nice pitch. Bottom of the inside part of the plate for a strike with the off speed. Avalos' 8.68 ERA has appeared in 8 games. Ooh, same pitch, same location, same result, 0-2. And Garcia might need an adjustment. Those pitches are very close. Now I wonder if Garcia is in chase mode. On the ground to short. To second, 1 over to first. It's a double play for the Coyotes. The top of the Lumberjacks order came up hoping to do some damage, but an incredible at-bat between Javier Avalos and Dylan Garcia is thoroughly won by Avalos, and this stays a 2-run game. The Coyotes offense coming up. Okay. Yeah, I can come back then. Zach Bernstein back on the hill for the Lumberjacks. Been a fun pitcher's duel for most of this one. Javier Avalos has been dodging bullets. Some unearned runs have came across to score. It's a 3-run game. But for Zach Bernstein, it's been a similar act for him, but maybe less total opportunities for the Coyotes. Lumberjacks just had Aaron Raposa and Tyler Barnesness last inning walk consecutively, first and second. 1 out, and it seemed like time for Dylan Garcia, who leads the league in OPS, to cash in, but instead a double play, and it stays a 2-run game. So the Coyotes have kept themselves in striking distance, trying to pull off the upset as the 8th seed. But now it's time for their offense to do some damage. Tyler Lang being the designated hitter, leading things off. And for Zach Bernstein, now pitching in his 5th inning, you wonder how many pitches they'll give him, or if they're conceding that this will be his final appearance of the season. Although in the playoffs, you kind of see things get a little wonky when it comes to who's appearing when. So no matter how many pitches Bernstein throws, it's not out of the question for him to appear out of the pen in a hypothetical championship game. But in the meantime, with such a low-scoring game, he is still in there. You got to think the Lumberjacks would have loved to break this game open on offense, score double-digit runs if they've done so often, and kind of give their guy some rest. But he is still out there. And they need him now more than ever against the heart of the Coyotes' order. Here's the first pitch. Shot up the middle, but bounced over to second, and it's kicked to first. No! Another error on the Lumberjacks. Tyler Langbein reaches on the E6. It was a looper that I thought off the bat was going to be dumped into left field for a base hit, but it was only 51 off the bat, so kind of a bloop shot almost in front of the shortstop. But Aaron Raposa couldn't handle it, was again caught in an unfortunate situation. And that is now the fourth error of the day on the Lumberjacks. Called strike on the outside. So the Lumberjacks are the number one team, but they have not been a team without struggles this season. They won their first 10 games of the year, check on first. And it kind of, you're wondering if they were going to go undefeated, but they lost to the 2-seed Bombers 8-7 on June 23rd. Their first 10 games of the season, they averaged 13 runs a game. But going into their last game of the season, the 7 games after the first 10, they averaged less than 7, 6.5 to be exact. Runner on his way to second, and a terrific throw from Garcia hoses him. Tyler Langbein caught stealing for the first out of the inning. The perfect time for the fastball from Zach Bernstein. Not a great jump from Langbein, and Tyler Garcia uncorked a seed. 0-2 on the ground to first. Warden flips over to Bernstein for the second out. It's amazing how quickly that these opportunities can be extinguished. 2 outs, nobody on for Caden Raymond. That was Alexander Carbajal who grounded out. But as I was saying, the Lumberjacks have still gotten their wins, but they've had to scrap. And they were losing to the 5-seed Haymakers in the last game of the season, going into the fourth, and that was when they ripped off an 11-run inning. Ball 1 to Caden Raymond, the catcher. And the craziest thing about that inning is that it didn't end. No outs were officially recorded by the Haymakers. 1-0, skied in the air out to center field. Long run for Rodriguez, and he will watch it bounce in front of him. Base hit for Caden Raymond. 2 men out. Man on. Paul Saffer coming up. The Lumberjacks scored so many runs in that inning that the Haymakers skipper almost conceded defeat, said he wanted to keep his pitchers for the playoffs, and just said, look, everybody scores, let's just end the inning and keep playing. And a great response for the Lumberjacks and some more proof that they can get it done on offense. High drive out to deep right field. Back on is Estrada. It's over his head and off the wall. Raymond on his way home. He will score. Saffer jogging to third. He's safe and it gets away. He's going to try for home. He is safe and the game is tied. A 2 RBI triple for Paul Saffer. He gets home on an error, the 5th error of the day on the Lumberjacks. And right as I talked about how quickly the opportunities are extinguished, Tyler Langbein led off the inning. He reached on an E6. First pitch to Declan Rivero, a called strike. And then Alexander Carbajal, the best hitter for the Coyotes, comes up. Man on first, but caught stealing and a ground out. 2 outs, nobody on. Base hit and a triple with an error, and the Coyotes have tied it up. The inning ends on a great play from Giovanni Pena, but the damage has been done. The 8-seed Coyotes put up 2. The Lumberjacks keep making errors. Can their offense finally put up that big inning? They're going to find out in the bottom. Bring me back now if that's all right. So we're going to come back a little bit early here. The Coyotes are tied 3-3 against the number 1 seed Lumberjacks, the 8 seed Coyotes, hoping to pull off an upset. And upset has been the theme so far today. The Blue Sox playing on the field out in right field. Not sure how cleanly you can see it. But they're the 7th seed. They lead 11-1 over the 2 seed Bombers. That is the last update we have. It's the top of the 5th. But one of the crazier plays we've seen all year, Paul Saffer with a man at first hit a triple into right field. And as he was sliding into third, the throw got away. But the funny thing is that it banked off of Cameron Vollmer, the coach for the Coyotes, who is in there on the third baseline. Now, it probably would have gotten away either way, but the Lumberjacks defense kind of had to adjust. And you wonder if Cam kind of stood in there and took it. Maybe that deflection helps your guy out a little bit. So it's a 3-3 game. The Lumberjacks have had so many opportunities to break this game open, but they've came up empty. The first pitch to Logan Warden in there for a strike. And it's Javier Avalos still out there for his 5th inning of work. Pitch is low, 1-1. You got to go 5 innings to qualify for the win in the PSCL. 1-1 pitch. Nice slider on the inside, 1-2. But you got to think that for Avalos, he's not thinking about getting the win to his ledger. He's thinking about his team getting the win overall. 1-2 pitch. Outside, did he go? He did not. 2-2. Warden's 1 for 2. Base hit in the third, stole a base, scored a run. 2-2, shot up the middle. It will land in front of Saffer, a base hit. Logan Warden gets aboard. Lumberjacks have had plenty of chances. The leadoff man has reached in the last 3 innings. Fourth hit of the day for the Lumberjacks. Logan Warden has 2 of those hits. And here's Jose Rodriguez. First pitch of ball. Rodriguez 0 for 2, pop-out flyout. Second pitch. Inside for a strike with the slider. One now. Called the ball. Rodriguez didn't even seem like he was ready to swing at that moment. But a ball call nonetheless. Shows bunt, pulls back, takes a strike, 2-2. And usually the Lumberjacks, they're just playing traditional baseball, getting base hits. But now I wonder if they're going to play some small ball. 2-2 on the ground. It's through for a base hit. Logan Warden stops at second. 2 aboard. Nobody out for the Lumberjacks. Here comes the designated hitter, Carlos Guzman. It was 79 off the bat. Guzman has reached safely both times he's been up. Hit by a pitch in the second. Gingerly made it to first, stayed in the game, stole a base, and scored a run. Shows bunt, gets it down. This is going to be a tough play to make. Over to first, and they got him in time for the out. But mission accomplished for Carlos Guzman. A sacrifice bunt, 2 men on. Or 2 men in scoring position now for Frank Estrada. And like we were saying, the Lumberjacks used to getting ahead in these kind of games, just stringing together base hits. But now in a tie game, they're playing some small ball. The infield is in for the Coyotes. Another key moment in this game. Can Avalos continue his dance? First pitch, wave and a miss. Lumberjacks scored 2 in the bottom of the second, 1 in the bottom of the third. Coyotes 1 in the top of 3 and 2 in the top of 5 on a Little League home run, swing and a miss. Although I say Little League home run, that's probably discrediting Paul Saffer. He roped a triple down the right field line. And the throw that was trying to get him at 3 got away, and that allowed Saffer to score. Estrada down 0-2. Here's the pitch. Off the plate for a ball, and you can hear the emotion from the Coyotes. Not necessarily anger, just like the classic fan reaction. They are into this game. Their team is in it. The 1-2. 2-2 now. Nice take. Slider up high. Frank Estrada didn't chase. Estrada's 0 for 2, reached on an E6 in the third. 9 total errors in this game. 2-2. Foul. We'll do it again, 2-2. 3-2 now. Estrada was in an 0-2 hole, but since then he's fouled off some pitches. He's taken 3. And now a chance to load him up with Troy Johnson on deck. Payoff pitch. On the ground to third. Runner stays put. To first, it's a second out. Big cheer from the Coyotes dugout, and they got some fans behind their dugout as well. Fun to see the attendance spike up here in the playoffs. That was a great play from Declan Rivero, the new addition from the Bootleggers. Checked on the runner first, and then he went to first. Here's Troy Johnson, 2 outs, first pitch high, 1-0. Johnson had a base hit his first at-bat. But then with men on, grounded into a double play in the third to end the inning. 1-0, 2-0. And you wonder if Avalos is going to pitch around Johnson here. Giovanni Pena is on deck. A good hitter in his own right, but Troy Johnson leads the league in RBIs and is an all-star. We'll see if they pitch away 2-0. Sure enough, 3-0, maybe a little too close to comfort for Troy Johnson. But now, isn't this interesting? Caden Raymond is going to talk to his pitcher. And if they were going to pitch around Troy Johnson, you wouldn't expect a meeting to unfold. Maybe a premature scouting report for Pena. Or maybe they were not going to intentionally walk Johnson, but now with 3-0, they'll give him something way away. Because if you're going to intentionally walk a guy, up and in is not really the way to do it, unless you're trying to deal with a level of unsportsmanlike that we really don't see in the PSCL. So it's 3-0. We'll see what they do. And it's a called strike. So maybe they will challenge Troy Johnson after all. High drive into left field. Logan Wonko back, and it is over his head and off the wall. 1 run will score. Another is in. Troy Johnson is safe as a 2 RBI double, and the Lumberjacks retake the lead. Now, obviously, as a competitor, you want to go at every guy. But you got to wonder, 3-0 going against the league's RBI guy, 9-hitter on deck. If it was worth challenging Troy Johnson when it was 3-0. But he got on his hitter's count, 3-1, and he launched one 87 off the bat. Pena up, runner in scoring position, takes strike 1. Nothing left for Avalos to do but try and limit the damage. 1-1 to Pena. The Coyotes scored 2 in the top of 5. They tied it up. You wondered how the Lumberjacks would respond. They've committed a litany of errors. 1-2. But this offense has done a great job of staying composed. They had runners at second and third, 1 out after the sack bunt from Carlos Guzman. What a ground out, and you wonder if they'd be left stranded again. Troy Johnson not on his watch. 1-2 outside. And after this game, that will be the key decision, you'd have to think. Obviously, still some game left. There's 7-inning games here in the PSCL. That stays the same for the playoffs. So the Coyotes will have 6 outs to work with. Looped into center field. This is going to be a tough play. It's dropping, and a diving play in center from Paul Saffer. Saffer takes one away from Pena. It robbed a run from the Lumberjacks, but the number 1 seeded Jacks still scores 2. They respond to the Coyotes' 2 runs. It's a 5-3 game. Declan Rivero leading things off. Zach Bernstein still on the hill for the Lumberjacks. He has pitched every inning for the Jacks. He is the ace for the squad. And we'll give you an update on what's going on in the backfield. It's something we've been monitoring very closely. Jimmy J.J. Johnson, 7-seed Blue Sox, on the verge of upsetting the number 2 seed Bombers. And it is 11-3. The Bombers scored 2. They had them loaded with 1 out last inning, the Bombers did, but left them all stranded. The first pitch on the ground, Declan Rivero is retired. Or pardon me, that's Riley Thomas, who grounds out to Aaron Raposa. Declan Rivero ended last inning. Five outs for the Coyotes to work with. 5 outs in their season unless they can score 2 on the number 1 team. Landon Baker ready for the first pitch. Opened up with a called strike. Baker got hit by a pitch in the second, grounded to short in the fourth. Here's the 0-1. 0-2. If there is anybody in the league that you could have any pitcher or catcher-pitcher combo for a spot like this, it might be Zach Bernstein and Dylan Garcia. 0-2. Lined into left field and down for a base hit. Landon Baker gets aboard. The tying run now comes to the batter's box. It's been an interesting game for Logan Wanko due up next. Bases loaded, grounded out in the second with 2 outs. Then came up with a runner at third and successfully drew a walk. That runner was left stranded. Roberto Gallardo grounded out. Wanko trying to keep the momentum going. Throw over to first. Bounces in safe. One 0 to Wanko. 1-1. Nasty slider on the inside. One pitch. Swing and a miss. Challenge Wanko right down the middle with the slider. If Wanko can get aboard, the top of the order would be up with 1 out, 2 men on. Bernstein trying to punch him out. Got a bat out it into center field. It's down. The pitch was blown away, but Wanko stretched out, got the barrel on it, and looped it to center. 2 on, 1 out. This Coyotes team will not go away. And now a mound meeting coming up for the Lumberjacks. We'll see if they will stick with Bernstein or will we have a change. There is a man warming up for the Lumberjacks. That is number 10. And it is Bo Kerr. Bo Kerr, another all-star for the Lumberjacks. We'll see if he officially comes in or if they're going to try and ride Bernstein through the rest of this inning. Meeting adjourned, and Bernstein is still there. Bo Kerr is the closer for this squad, and he has been dominant. 1.23 ERA. And Kerr had a successful outing against the Power yesterday. Had 1-2-3, needed a double play, but he was taking care of business against the Power. And if the Coyotes don't get some across here, they're going to be dealing with Kerr. There's a good chance they see him anyways. The first pitch to Roberto Gallardo, taken for a strike. 0-1 pitch, wave and a miss. Gallardo's 1 for 3, struck out looking in the first. Scored a run in the third. That was the first run the Coyotes scored. Runners at first and second. Gallardo in an 0-2 hole. Fly ball out to right field. And Frank Estrada puts it away for out number 2. Landon Baker heads to third. Runners at the corners, 2 outs. And here comes Tyler Langbein. Langbein hitting .412 on the year. The entire regular season can feel like a marathon, but right now it is a race to the finish. The 14 hits prior were all impressive, but hit number 15 for Langbein would be the most important. First pitch low. Well, that would be hit number 16 because Langbein did have a base hit earlier in this game. Singled in the third and stole a base. He was left stranded at third with 1 out. 1-0 pitch. Called strike 1-1. It's a sport built on moments, and Langbein trying to cash in on his. 1-1, slow roller to short. This is going to be a tough play. Raposa to first. They got him. Zach Bernstein stays in the game and gets through the inning. His team leads by 2, and the Lumberjacks will go shopping for insurance in the bottom. got another scoring update for you on the backfielder. I guess a lack of a scoring update, to be more precise. The Blue Sox have 11. The 2-seed Bombers just 3. It's the top of 6. So here's the key, most important thing. This Bombers team, they can rope together hits like no other team. They have the number 1 offense in the league, a little bit ahead of the Lumberjacks. And they've absolutely been the hottest offense in the season. They've closed things out very impressively. So the fact that they are the home team means that they will have 6 total outs to work with. But the big thing is that the Blue Sox have committed the most errors in the league. If Jimmy Johnson's squad can hold up for just a little bit longer, they can head to the semifinals. But we've got a pretty good game of our own. Aaron Raposa takes the first pitch low. We have a pitching change for the Coyotes. Javier Avalos went 5. And now it's Juan Castellanos. Castellanos deals 2 straight balls to Raposa. Juan Castellanos has pitched 17 innings, 4.24 ERA. You could argue that he is the best pitcher for the Coyotes. And off-speed pitch. Gets a strike on the outside. That was the slider. Two one to Raposa. 2-2 now. For the Coyotes, it'll be Alexander Carbajal leading off the top of 7. High drive, deep right field. Estrada going back. He's under it, and he makes the catch. 88 off the bat for Aaron Raposa, but just got a little under it, and it hung up just enough for the Coyotes right fielder. Tyler Barnes now. 0 for 2 on the day with a walk. The goal is to get aboard and give Dylan Garcia a chance. First pitch, bounces in. That slider right around the mid-60s for Castellanos. Doesn't quite have the zip of Avalos' slider, but it has a ton of movement. 1-0. Just low, 1-1. Or 2-0, pardon. Dropped in for a strike. Two one to Barnes. Wave and a miss. Nothing but sliders from Juan Castellanos. Two. Barnes stays alive. Got him to chase. Another slider. That was down low. But Barnes has got enough of a bat on it to keep the at-bat alive. So here we go. It's the 2-2 pitch to Tyler Barnes. Shot back foul. Oh, wow. No ifs, ands, or buts. That was a strike. Fully in the strike zone, but now it's 3-2. At least that's what the TrackMan system's telling us. Barnes a new lease at life, and he gets aboard with 1 out. Mission accomplished for Tyler Barnes. Dylan Garcia had a base hit in the first, reached second on an E5. Since then, ground out in a double play. Another slider right down the middle for a strike. Garcia has played some terrific defense. Caught a Coyote stealing in a key spot. That was the top of 5 when the Coyotes scored 2 runs. And if Garcia doesn't catch that guy stealing, a 3rd run definitely scores on that triple. Lined into left field and down for a base hit. Tyler Barnes to 3rd, and they will keep him at 3. It's a 1-out double for Garcia. 2 men in scoring position for Logan Warden. The Coyotes' game plan this entire game is to leave Lumberjacks stranded on the base paths. Logan Warden will be intentionally walked. I don't know if I've seen an intentional walk the entire season across the league. Steven, you seen one? Yeah, Steven says no. More hidden ball tricks than intentional walks. Jose Rodriguez with the bases loaded, 1 out. The first pitch from Castellanos is low, ball 1. This league is about giving guys chances and maybe intentional walks take away from it. But in the playoffs, it's about winning your matchup. Great slider, just clips the bottom of the zone, 1-1. On the ground to 3rd, it gets by. 1 run will score. Another on the way. 7-3 the score. The Lumberjacks have gotten 2 across. It was just past the diving glove of Declan Rivero at 3rd. And the lead is 4 for the Lumberjacks. Tyler Barnes and Dylan Garcia both come across to score. So a 2 RBI single for Jose Rodriguez, 7-3 the score. Let's go. Carlos Guzman, the designated hitter, has a bat with 2 men on. First pitch, checked his swing. That's ball 1. Dallas Siricon is the new pitcher. Juan Castellanos was the all-star pitcher for the Coyotes. Still is, but not his finest inning. Got Aaron Raposo, the leadoff man, to fly out, but then walk, double, walk, single, and 2 runs have scored. Both runners on the move fouled. And it might have been fortunate for Dallas Siricon that that pitch was chased at. It was up high, outside of the zone. But both runners now have to retreat, and Caden Raymond's on red alert. One to Guzman. High drive, deep left field. And diving play comes up empty for Logan Wanko. Throw over to third. No, it gets away, but is cut off by Siricon. So with the win, that ball really held up there. And it looped back forwards for Logan Wanko. Came charging in, came up empty, but with such a difficult play, no Lumberjacks are on the move. With the crack of the bat, they are loaded up. Goes down as a single for Carlos Guzman. And now here's Frank Estrada with the bases loaded. A chance to deliver a knockout punch. First pitch down the middle for a strike with the breaking ball. Dallas Siricon, a 6 ERA on the year, but has delivered his best stuff as the season has gone on. Ooh, a hat came off. Lost track of the breaking ball. Hats falling off is not an uncommon thing to happen in the PSCL. Frank Estrada ahead 2-1. Nowhere to put him. Swing and a miss. Challenged him down the middle with a fastball. And it is official. The Blue Sox have upset the Bombers. 11-6, your final. Here's the 2-2. Outside 3-2. And the Lumberjacks' biggest competition is officially eliminated. Absolutely stunning. 3-2, back to the pitcher, knocked down, goes home. They get the out to first. No! But a great defensive play from Dallas Siricon. If that ball gets by him, forget about trying to turn 2. That's probably a run scored and a base hit. And now here's Troy Johnson. He was involved in the defining sequence in this game. First pitch to him. In there for a called strike. Johnson was ahead 2-0 with 2 men on. Or 3-0, pardon me. And the Coyotes decided to pitch to him. And he laced a double into the gap. Scored 2 RBIs. 0-1 pitch. High 1-1. If the Coyotes want to have a chance, they need to get out of this jam. Two one. It's high, 3-1. Troy Johnson, another hitter's count. Well, last time Troy Johnson was in this spot, he hit a 2 RBI double. We'll see if he's got another big swing with the bases loaded, 2 outs. A chance to deliver a knockout punch. Ball 4. Johnson stays patient. He gets 1 RBI, and it's an 8-3 game. Jose Rodriguez, the one who touches home and gets the run. And the bases are still loaded for Giovanni Pena. And even in a game where the Lumberjacks have not played their best, they still lead by 5, what makes them so dangerous, 1-0. They've been charged with 5 errors on the day. Coyotes have had traffic all over the place. But when pushes came to shove, the Lumberjacks have cashed in. Now a chance to add on. 1-1 fouled. Two one now. So with the Bombers eliminated, the Blue Sox will now play the winner of the 3-seed North Stars versus the 6-seed Grizzly game. That's going on the turf field. 2-1 pitch. Shot into right field, dropping fast, down for a base hit. 2 more runs will score. It is a 10-3 game. It was a sliding effort from Riley Thomas at second, but he came up empty. And with a difficult play like that, that is absolutely a base hit. And I think we're going to have another pitching change for the Coyotes. As long as they have outs left, they're going to keep fighting. And now the next pitcher for them, the 4th pitcher of the day, that's going to be Jacob Ginn. Ginn has gone 21 innings, making his 7th appearance of the year. Over those 21 innings, he's allowed 22 earned runs. And with the bases still loaded and 2 outs, he's going to have to face Aaron Raposa with the bases loaded. It's been a 5-run inning for the Lumberjacks. They lead 10-3 in the first round of the PSCL playoffs, trying to finish off the 8-seed Coyotes. And although a win seemed like a given when you look at purely the run differentials and the seeding, already we have learned in this tournament that upsets are going to be a common practice, or at least a very possible practice, as a team that many considered to be the real favorite, the Bombers, are officially eliminated after losing to the Blue Sox. And that is the fiercest rivalry in the PSCL, and now a Bombers pitcher has to play for the Blue Sox going forward. First pitch to Raposa, outside for a ball. Raposa on the day has walked twice, also is ground out and flied out. Bases filled with Jacks. Pena at first, Johnson at second, Guzman at third. This is the 3rd pitcher in the inning for the Coyotes. One. Fly ball to left, foul, 1-2. For the Coyotes next inning, it'll be Alexander Carbajal, Caden Raymond, Paul Saffer, and the 3, 4, and 5 spot due up. One, two. Count even. And now here's the 2-2 pitch. Fly ball out to left. Drifting foul, Rivero. We'll watch it bounce out of the ballpark. Or no, it did stay fair, but it clanked off the fence. Bases loaded up, 2 outs. Jacob Ginn trying to limit the damage. 2-2. Up the middle for a base hit. One more runner will score. It's an 11-3 game. Troy Johnson, the one who came around to score. And this is a championship caliber inning from the number 1 seed Jacks. And they just want to keep it going. Tyler Barnes is now with 2 outs, man on. First pitch, outside for a ball. The Coyotes and their skipper, Cam Vollmer, threw everything they had at the Champs. And it was tied up at 3 apiece. Going into the top of 6, Coyotes came up empty. Or pardon me, it was tied at going into the bottom of the 5th. My mistake, 3-3. 2-0 count to Barnesness. The Lumberjacks scored 2 in the bottom of 5. That made it a 5-3 game. Coyotes came up empty, left 2 stranded. And then a 6-run inning has really sealed the deal. 2-0 foul. And I'll tell you what, that might be a pinch hitter for the Lumberjacks. Yeah, that's Nicolo DeSimone batting. My mistake. He replaces Tyler Barnesness. DeSimone, a .265 hitter, fouls another one away, 2-2. Raposa at first. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Upon the conclusion of this game, it will be the 5-seed Haymakers against the number 4-seed Chill. And if this result holds, the winner of that second game would play the Lumberjacks if they can hold on to this 11-3 lead. 2-2. Called strike 3. Ginn gets the call on the outside, and mercifully the inning is over. But one inning it was for the Jacks. They came in up 2. They leave. come back. This is the PSCL playoffs, and the number 1 seed Lumberjacks went with their ace in Game 1 against the Coyotes, and Zach Bernstein has delivered. He came in with 5 total runs allowed on the season, 1.13 ERA, and he's now up to 8 runs as the Coyotes managed to scratch 3 across, but only 1 of those runs was earned. There were 5 errors on the Lumberjacks, and that is a big reason why this was a game going into the bottom of the 6th. But a 6th run, bottom of the 6th, makes this an 11-3 game, and now a pinch hitter will lead things off for the Coyotes. It's Henry Lomax. 3 outs left in the Coyotes season unless they can score 8 runs against Zach Bernstein. Lomax ready for the first pitch from Bernstein. 81 off the plate, gets the call. And Lomax maybe is the epitome of what makes the overall tone of this league so great, because it's competitive. There's also a level of fun and camaraderie involved, and Lomax put that on display in an earlier game as he's behind 0-2. He went out there to pitch an inning, and he got roughed up a little bit, allowed 3 runs, came out for the next inning against the number 3 seed North Stars, and just thought heck with it, and just started throwing 45-mile-an-hour lollipops. 0-2 pitch from Bernstein, on the ground to third. Pena to first in time. So Lomax goes down, 2 outs left for the Coyotes. But what made that sequence so fun from Lomax is when he just started throwing those kind of pitches, he went 3 innings of no earned runs. Those North Star guys were laughing, both dugouts having some fun. The game was already in hand. But it's why these players love being here and why this league's so successful. Wave and a miss to another pinch hitter. And the Coyotes are in opportunity mode, trying to give everybody an at-bat before the season ends. This is Jaden Mizukami. Mizukami, 2 hits on the year. Gets aboard at a 250 clip. Wave and a miss, 0-2. Zach Bernstein threw a lot of pitches in this game, and his availability is going to be a really fun thing to monitor for the Lumberjacks. 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss. Down goes Mizukami, 1 out left in the Coyote season. And the moment will belong to Paul Saffer. Feels fitting. He's been the most reliable guy for the Coyotes all year. 2 strikeouts, hit a triple in the 5th. That is what gave the Coyotes life. They tied the game at 3 with that triple. Added an E9 that hit off the coach of the Coyotes, and that was an inside-the-park home run. Saffer on the ground to second. Barnes is to first, and the game is over. The season is over for the Coyotes, but they can keep their heads held high. They put up quite the battle against the Lumberjacks. But the champs put together a championship kind of inning, scoring 6 runs in the bottom of the 6th, and 11-3 is your final in Palm Springs Stadium. The win belongs to Zach Bernstein, really solid showing from him. Javier Avalos pitched admirably for the Coyotes, but he will get charged with the loss. So the Lumberjacks are moving on, and they will play the winner of the number 5 seed Haymakers against the number 4 seed Chill. We will have that game in about half an hour. Hope you stick with us. But in the meantime, I'm Vince Hesberg. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great rest of your day.